Dana Brown took the Houston GM job this year. He's been our scouting director for like the past 3 years.
Oh, dang.
He's not the GM of the Houston Astros, but it's kind of hurts because he's the guy that's responsible for drafting Strider, Harris, and Vaughn.
Thank you.
Because I think AA did an interview and it was basically just said he was like, yeah, this Dana. If Dana said that like this is the guy that they need to pick, that's just what they went with.
Yeah. You trust him.
And Dana was crazy.
Did you know that Kirby Yates is from Hawaii?
I did know that actually.
He must be a military kid.
Kirby Yates.
There's no way he's just from there.
And he looked like he's from Alabama.
He looked like he's from West Virginia.
Kirby got hit around the other day too. Or is it today?
Everybody got roped past couple days.
Let's say, yeah, that's true. So that's Jesse. Jesse pitched good today.
I didn't see him today. He got mashed the other day.
Yeah,
though.
he did get mashed the other day.
Max was lights out. Spencer was lights out. Somebody else looked good.
Darius Vines pitched an inning, struck out 3 guys.
Somebody looks really good. Crap, and I was going to talk about it. Let me find it, actually. Ready for that Morgan Wallen album Friday.
Me too. Isn't there a Brave song on there?
I don't know. There's supposed to be like 30 songs.
I'm pretty sure one of them's a Brave song.
Apparently he wrote like a shit ton of songs over COVID and just is dumping all of them.
Yeah, I'm almost 100% sure that one of them's supposed to be a Braves. Like it's Schuster looked good. 2 innings, 1 hit.
That's who I was talking about, Schuster. That's not who I was talking about, but I did want to bring him up because that's my dog.
Yep. Boy looked good.
He looked good. Who else? Somebody was lights out. Iglesias was really good. 1 inning pitch, 2 strikeouts, no hits.
Let's see.
Dylan Lee. Inning pitch, 2 strikeouts, no hits.
Little Blake Burkhalter.
I might have been thinking about Schuster, honestly. I might have just got super excited.
Oh, Schuster.
Oh, Jared.
Telling you, man. Saturday, Darius Vines, 1 inning pitch, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. That was the day where I just noticed Victor Vodnik getting absolutely destroyed.
Victor.
That was sad. Nothing hurt worse to me than seeing Ian Anderson get absolutely roped after saying that his slider, after saying he developed a slider and it looked impressive in camp.
And he just gets mashed. Like, oh no.
That's not good.
That's not good.
Yeah, Justin Dean looks really good right now too. I was paying attention to him.
I agree. That's the MLB The Show franchise legend right there.
Justin Dean? Oh yeah.
Yes.
I watched him play a little bit in the minor leagues. He's fast as hell. Didn't he play a game with didn't he play with us last year?
Oh,
No, he played with Gwinnett last year. I'm tripping.
They're projecting Nolan Arenado, 29 home runs, 99 RBIs, 811 OPS.
Dang. Justin Dean stole 4 bases so far. Dang. In spring. He stole 2 today.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Jesse pitched 2 innings, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. What a guy.
Dog.
Oh yeah, Nick Anderson looked good today. That's a pretty intriguing one too. Especially with Danny Santana getting waived.
Ooh, I just watched a video of Vaughn's 2 RBI double against the Twins yesterday. Well, Oppo to the wall.
Put the charge into it.
Yes, bro. One hopped it off the back wall. Oppo, like right center. It was beautiful.
I think Vaughn's gonna be a guy like a month into the season. We just totally forgot that it was even a like conversation that he was gonna be a starting shortstop or not.
Yeah,
Like it's just gonna feel natural.
probably.
I don't even really. I'm not too worried about the defense. I just think that his bat's gonna play up so well.
Did you know that since 2018, the Washington Commanders have had 12 different starting quarterbacks, and only 2 of them have a winning record?
I believe it.
Can you guess who those 2 are?
Taylor Heineke.
Yes.
Um. One sec. Said what was the year?
18.
18.
A little tricky. Actually, 3 have a winning record. Excuse me.
Well,
3 have
Heineke's
a
an
winning record.
obvious because they've actually been pretty decent the past 2 seasons. Not like
Heineke's 12, 11, and 1.
okay. Um,
There's only 2 other with a winning record.
trying to think back on guys who've started games with Washington. Heineke, Wentz. Wentz, I don't think has one.
No.
Um,
One of them's your boy.
my boy.
Yeah.
Sam Howell.
Yeah, he's 1-0.
Yeah, I forgot he started that last game of the season, right?
Yep. And you're only missing one. And it's kind of a trick. It's like sort of a trick question.
Mm. Is it somebody that you wouldn't even like realize play with Washington?
No, you would for sure know. It's just that he's very forgotten for one big reason.
Case Keenum.
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith. Yep.
Explain to me how Alex Smith started 16 games for them since 2018.
I would never guess it. I
He's
say
11-5 as the starter.
Case Keenum ain't even never play there.
Keenum did play there. He's 1-7.
Oh, he is.
Yeah. Let's see. It's
Oh, he was 19. Yep, that was 19. Okay. Yep, I see that now.
Taylor Heineke, Alex Smith, Dwayne Haskins, Carl Wentz, Kyle Allen, Case Keenum, Josh
Oh, Alan,
Johnson.
what was his record there?
1-3.
Oh, he probably tailed off. I remember whenever he first made the. I guess actually that was with Carolina.
Yeah, he was pretty good in Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina
When
was
Ron
the
brought
team.
him there. A&M boy.
I ain't gonna lie, 12 games started in Carolina to put up almost 3,400 yards is pretty impressive.
Heck yeah. Sam Howell 1-0. Colt McCoy 0-3. Mark Sanchez 0. What? Mark Sanchez?
Did not know that. I knew they had a weird one, and I kept on wanting to say Jay Cutler, but I thought he was out of the league by that time.
Mark Sanchez was in the league in 2018?
Yep. 0-1.
No way.
Guess what his game? Well, he was 19 for 35 that season with 100,
Great.
138 yards, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Let's go, baby. Ryan Fitzpatrick and somebody with the last name Garrett Gilbert.
Garrett Gilbert.
Think.
Yeah,
Didn't
I think that is the name.
he back up Brady a couple years ago?
I think so.
Well, they got what's his name, who's actually pretty good. Who's their backup? He's solid. Well, I think he's a free agent now, but he's a solid quarterback.
Which one?
Tampa.
I don't know.
Can't remember his name. He's a good player. I'm tripping.
Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah, Blaine Gabbert. There you go.
I had to look that up. I remember the
Blaine
Blaine
Gabbert.
Gabbert hype with Jacksonville like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Bust. We had so many busts come through.
Crazy.
I swear from like 2010 to like 2018, or I guess not 18, maybe like 2017 was like bust period of time.
For you ain't lying.
Mariota, Jameis, Boyd, Manuel,
Dude,
um,
Taj Boyd's a crazy one.
Geno Smith, I guess, for like a whole decade.
Yeah.
Some other ones. We had a couple of Brett Hundley was in there.
Hold up. Hold on. Excuse you. Taj Boyd never played an NFL game.
Yeah, he wasn't like super highly drafted, was he?
6th round. But to never play a snap?
It is pretty wild. I wouldn't have guessed it.
Oh my word. I mean, he was the truth in college.
I'm gonna go back and watch some of his film.
Taj?
There's gotta be something wrong. I looked at his stats. There had to be something wrong.
Got to be.
I don't remember it vividly now. Obviously, we were young back then.
Bro went for damn near 4,000 yards all 3 years as a starter. 33 tuds, 12 picks. 33 tuds, 13 picks. 34, 11. A career 155 passer rating at Clemson.
Yeah, there had to be something wrong. That man had to have a hitch in that delivery or something.
No way, dude. That's crazy.
Honestly, you put up those numbers. If you put up those numbers at Clemson nowadays, you're first overall pick. It don't matter what you got wrong with you.
Absolutely not.
That was also in a period though where teams were more concerned with stuff, like a whole lot more concerned at quarterback.
I'm looking at his film right now.
Back in like it was wild.
I don't know, man. His footwork's not great, but it's like he's got a solid delivery. And he runs. He's a great runner. I don't know, dog.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at it now. I mean, Lamar Jackson was the no doubt the best quarterback in college football, and
Yeah.
he was the fifth quarterback taken in his draft. I guess it was Baker, and then a couple like promise boys.
Yeah.
What was it? It was Baker, Darnold, Rosen, and Allen.
Rosen.
I guess Josh paid off. But still, if I'm the GM, then there's no way in hell I'm taking a kid from where Josh Allen come from again?
Wyoming.
Wyoming. No way in hell I'm taking a kid from Wyoming over Lamar Jackson.
No, me either. Unless that GM was literally Jesus.
He changed the game. Let me go pee right quick. We'll get started.
Why?
I think I've gotten so used to watching Outer Banks and The Last of Us, I got home and I was like, oh god, I gotta watch The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I clicked on it, it was like 32 minutes. I was like, okay, not in as much of a rush as I thought.
And it's really like 24
Mm-hmm.
with all the credits.
Facts. Good episode, though. Good episode. It was not bad at all.
Where are you on Outer Banks?
Still on episode 6. Or episode 7.
We're on 4.
I haven't finished 7 yet.
What about The Last of Us? Are you caught up?
Yes.
We're slacking.
I am all the way caught up. There's one show I refuse to miss.
We're letting it catch up.
What's your thoughts so far on this season of OBX?
I mean, 4 episodes in, I think it's really good.
Rafe is the best character in the world.
Rafe is an amazing actor.
Rafe is awesome.
I love Rafe. And Big John sucks.
Oh my. Thank
I
you.
hate Big John.
Man, kill that man off the show.
I hate Big John.
Big John does suck so bad. He's like, I got your back, boy.
He makes John B do everything.
Yeah.
And he just murks people.
Now, kid, if I'm gonna take you along on this journey, I gotta trust you to do this. Just gonna get a lot tougher down the road.
Dad,
up,
I've been
Big
doing this
John.
by myself for 2 seasons.
I was more successful without you.
Man, you were better dead. Oh. Excuse me.
No, it's facts. No, Rafe is electric.
Dude, I love Rafe. I love Rafe. JJ's obviously GOAT. John B, always good.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah been kind of sucking this season a little bit, but
Facts.
you know, she's never really been the most dynamic character.
No.
All the Pogues are fine. You know, Pope's definitely the worst one, but he's still good.
Yeah, Pope is aggravating.
He's not like, I don't dislike Pope. He's just like
Different.
I would much rather watch a scene with John B, JJ, and Key than Pope and Cleo.
Facts. I don't mind Cleo though.
I know I like Cleo, but I don't know. I'm 4 episodes in. I feel like they're scheming up a little Cleo Pope thing, and I don't know how I feel about it.
I am off the topic.
What?
I'm off the topic. I'm 2 episodes ahead, so I can't say nothing.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Honestly, I don't even remember.
Right now, JJ and Kiara are starting to fondle.
Okay.
So, Pope was pretty pissed about it.
They almost kiss each other on the boat.
Yeah, that happened, I think that's episode 3.
I can't believe I watched that many episodes between that. Like, that was the last episode I watched. Like, you're saying stuff right now, and I'm like, that's only you're only through episode 4, and like, you've already seen that stuff?
Yeah, I think that was 3.
I thought episode 4, like, the one Big John came back.
He came back episode 2.
Damn. I guess when you kind of get in a rhythm with the shows, I watched like all 6 episodes on Sundays, and they kind of just flowed.
Yeah. We watched 4. We'll try and knock out the rest.
I watched like 3 of them between Thursday and Friday last week, and then I watched 3 of them on Sunday.
There's only 10, right?
Yeah, 10.
Did you listen to the pod today?
I did. Pogues don't lie to Pogues! Dude, Mitt's explanation of the show, he's like, yeah, you know, we're talking about OBS. You're like, that's not what that's called.
That's not it, Mitt.
Oh, yeah, it was electric.
Oh, I love Mitt so much.
He's like, you got John B, of course.
Mitt, you are John B.
Nah, Mitt's electric.
Oh, God, they're great. They're so damn funny.
I would love to shake his hand.
It's like, JJ's pretty funny. You got Kiara. Jumpy's dad. And then Sarah Cameron's dad is Ward Cameron. He kind of runs the island.
They're talking about the plane. They're talking about the plane, and he's like, yep. He's like, yep. The guy that picked him up was Ward. Was ran by Ward Cameron's. Mitt was like, no,
No, he didn't even work for him.
That was awesome.
I love Mitt.
It is electric. Oh man, you about ready to get this thing started?
Auger in.
Let me a little freshy in there.
I'm about to convert, I think.
Wintergreen?
Grizzly. I'm gonna give it a run. I say convert. I'm gonna give it a run. I can't even see you. I've been just blind this whole time. I just been feeling like changing it up.
I respect it.
Been feeling like I needed a little change up in my life.
Hit a little dark mint on them.
Yeah, a little something like that.
Grizzly dark mint. Is that still a thing?
I don't know. I haven't had it since it came out.
I remember it came out. I was so excited. Was not that big of a fan.
I like the taste, but it was cut weird.
Mm-hmm. That's my problem with a lot of dips. It's not Copenhagen. Like I like the flavor of them, like Skull. I like the Skull Spearmint. The only problem is the taste lasts like 2 seconds and it's gone.
The reason I started, because I actually enjoy the taste of Grizzly, but the reason I started dipping Copenhagen over Grizzly is because Copenhagen has less in the can and it was easier to get out. But I feel like Copenhagen has the same now. Like the first pinch, you're getting it all over your seat in your car.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I also like I used to like Stoker's Mint, but it kind of tastes a little soapy to me.
Shout out Cole Powell.
With Stoker's Mint.
He used to have the tub of Stokers in his car. You just go refill your can.
That's awesome.
So we just talking Braves outfield?
I reckon so. I mean, we can kind of dive into like spring training stuff. I'm not gonna have any stats in front of me, but
Yeah, me either.
I'm kind of just like rip off what I know.
You said this is 37?
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready.
Alrighty. 3, 2, 1. We are live.
What's up, boys? Welcome to episode 37 of the Peach State Tailgate Sports Podcast. I'm Kenny Cochran, joined by my co-host, Mr. Jake Hewitt.
Oh, yeah.
Baseball season is upon us. Spring training is here. And last couple episodes, we talked about the Braves. We talked about the pitching staffs. We talked about the infield. And today's episode is all about the outfield, all about them boys. And, Lord, you talk about the different positions and how they impact the team. Dare I say that this outfield for this Braves team is loaded.
Oh, yeah. Loaded with depth.
And obviously there's two glaring beauties out there in the outfield that we're going to talk about probably pretty immediately upon starting this episode. But before we get into that, man, thank y'all so much for checking us out. And episode 37, it's good to be back. Good to be here. And let's talk some baseball. Jake, you got anything?
Man, it is wonderful to be back. This is our first episode that we've done since last October that we've had baseball during it. So that is beautiful. You know, baseball started this past weekend, spring training. We've been kind of keeping track of it, you know, here and there. It's not the easiest thing to catch because, you know, some games are televised, some games aren't. Most games are at 1 o'clock where most people are at work, and you're kind of like trying to keep up on your phone. Obviously, I'm not really too worried about, you know, Justin Dean scoring on a wild pitch in the bottom of the 7th inning, so I get those notifications and kind of just scroll on past them. But hey, you know, usually at the end of the day, I do go back and look at the box score to see some of the notable guys, see how they performed. We have a couple things to talk about. A couple key things. I'm going to go ahead and get out the way. Spencer Strider, Max Fried, Matt Olson, Michael Harris, Vaughn Grissom. They've all been destroying the world right now. We kind of figured. I think most people kind of thought that would happen. Most of the guys that we expected to perform are performing well. I know you look at Austin Riley and Ozzie Albies and Eddie and all them. You're kind of like, damn, what are these guys doing? That's okay. It's spring training. This stuff does not matter one bit. Those are experienced veterans that have proven themselves at the major league level time and time again. So I'm not too worried about them. But a couple key guys are out there that have performed well. And whenever you talk about this Braves team, this lineup is pretty loaded. This lineup, we pretty much know what that is at the start. But I think pitching is where our biggest question mark is, and not so much top end pitching. We know those guys. It's more like back end startings, back end relievers. Those not really back end relievers, but last guy into the bullpen, like final roster spot type guys. And we're kind of getting a little bit more of an idea. I mean, we are only 5 days in spring training, and we still have like a whole month left, so there is a lot of time that things can happen. But Kenny, is there anybody that has stuck out to you so far this spring?
For sure. And before I get into it, I will say I like what you said there about you got the guys like Max and Spencer. You got the guys like Vaughn, Big Mike, and Matt Olson out there just absolutely balling right now. Um, it's just like any sport, man. It's not just baseball. You talk about professional football in the NFL or college football. Any kind of preseason activity for your home team. When a player is playing really, really good in the preseason, it's just a future look at to how he's going to be in the regular season. But if one of your players on your home team is playing bad in the preseason, it doesn't matter.
Thanks.
That's the beautiful thing about preseason is we
Mm-hmm.
get to build our own narratives because these games do not count.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yes, no, there's several guys that have really impressed me so far in spring training. Number one being Matt Olson, and I say impressed me as I'm just really, really, I'm seeing really, really good baseball from Matt Olson. I'm not impressed, like surprised to see him playing good baseball. He's Matt freaking Olson. Like you expect to see Matt Olson play really good baseball, but he's batting like 700 right now in spring training, which is absurd. And the same with Michael Harris, the same with Vaughn Grissom. Those guys are absolutely balling. But Michael Harris is was the National League Rookie of the Year last year. Probably, I actually said it. I think it was either today or yesterday when we were talking about guys from our hometown area that have gone to play professional sports. I mean, you can make an argument this guy's a top five center fielder in baseball last year as a rookie.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would certainly make that argument. I'm sure Jake would too. So even a guy like Michael Harris doesn't have quite the big league rapport that Matt Olson does, or the experience that Matt Olson does. So you expect to see Matt Olson play quality baseball year after year, but it's almost like we expect Michael to do that now. And so to see those two guys balling is great. But I think the big one of those three that I just mentioned is Vaughn Grissom, dude, because there's so many questions around Vaughn Grissom heading into the season. Number one being, how's he going to be as an everyday shortstop? Is this a day one starter? You lose Dansby Swanson to that big contract to the Cubs. And all the rumors were flying. We're gonna sign Correa. We're gonna trade for Willie Adames. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. You even heard crazy rumors about Didi Gregorius. Like it didn't matter who you're talking about. There's so many guys that were in the conversation of who the Braves gonna bring in to kind of fill that middle infield hole. And it seemed like a lot of people were sleeping on Vaughn Grissom, saying that he wasn't quite ready. I know Jake and I had a couple questions about it. What do we really haven't seen this guy play shortstop for an extended period of time. We haven't seen him play shortstop at all, actually, because he played second when he came up. But, what he did in the batter's box was pretty significant, even though he cooled off later in the year. And then you hear about all the work he's put in the offseason with Ron Washington. Working on the fielding stuff, working on the mental side of the game. One thing we've pretty consistently seen in the MLB is that when a guy has a good bat, he's got a good bat. You can change the way you swing the ball. You're going to go through hot spells, cold spells, whatever. But if you know how to hit the baseball, put the ball on the bat, we're talking about Freddie Freeman, all fair, just a pure hitter. Guy can barrel up a ball and put the ball in play. That's what he does. And Vaughn Grissom, definitely has a natural knack to do that at such a young age. So to see him come out here in spring training, man, with all those question marks and really come out here and work as probably what he feels like he's trying to earn that day one starting spot at shortstop. And what we're starting to see as fans. Vaughn Grissom has definitely been the most impressive player to me this far.
Yeah, and I think he's kind of elevated a little bit into like more of like a, I guess you'd say a pressured situation. Like you look at last year, we saw Michael Harris come up, a little bit later on in the year. Not later on, but it wasn't opening day. It took him like a month or two to get up, and at that point, it almost felt like no pressure because expectations weren't that high. I mean, outside of
Yeah.
Braves fans, outside of like, pretty diehard Braves fans, I don't know if too many people really knew too much about this guy. Obviously, we knew a lot about him because he's a Henry County product, hometown guy, and top tier prospect in our organization. But nationally, he wasn't really a super known guy. So when he first came up, nobody was really expecting much from the kid. He performed, and obviously we saw he won Rookie of the Year, top 5 center fielder in baseball, like you just mentioned. Where Von Grissom is completely different. We're talking about a fan favorite player with Dansby Swanson. We're talking about a guy that Braves fans love. Anybody in the city of Atlanta loved, and you went a whole offseason expecting, hoping, trying to fight for that starting shortstop position. And it almost seems like anytime you check the media, everybody was against you. I mean, you checked it, people were clamoring to sign Elvis Andrus to be the starting shortstop opening day, saying that, Orlando Arcia might win the starting shortstop job.
Yeah.
And, things could still happen. I mean, there's still free agents out there, I do want to say. Obviously, Andrelton Simmons is still out there. He's a guy that, the name was still kind of tossed around. Jose Iglesias is another name that got tossed around. But I think me and you, Kitty, were probably on the same page right here. I want to see them ride with Vaughn. And this isn't even anything he's done with spring training. Like, I don't even really care what he does this spring. I know the bat's going to play up. I'm confident that the work he put in with Ron Washington in the offseason is going to pay off. He's going to be able to play, at least a league average shortstop. And I really do think with that bat he has, as long as he plays an average shortstop, he will be just fine, because his bat is going to be he's going to be a 280, 290 guy, 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases. I mean, that's what you're looking at with a guy like Von Grissom.
Yeah, he's such a natural hitter, dude. Like I said a little bit ago, and with him being so young, this is another guy you talked about with Michael Harris. A lot of people didn't know about him. A lot of people really didn't know about Vaughn Grissom, and this dude's an 11th round draft pick for the Braves. We're talking about prospects in this Braves farm system. It's a lot different talking about these prospects than talking about the Yankees prospects.
Yeah.
Because you gotta do some digging on these guys to get some information. And we get hyped up about guys like Vaughn Grissom. That dude, with the hype that was around him in the Braves organization, wouldn't be there with probably 28 other teams. So for him to be able to come up and produce at what he did last year and what he's doing right now, all the praises in the world to him, dude. And yeah, I'm 100% on the Vaughn Grissom train. I would love to see this guy come in here and develop. And I don't think the floor is with Vaughn Grissom. I don't think the floor is low enough to just take his reps away for somebody else that you could bring in, maybe with a little bit more experience or whatever. And I love Orlando Arcia. We've talked about him a lot on the show. I really, really enjoy watching Orlando Arcia play. I love watching him hit, dude. I think he's really clutch. I think he's a good fielder. He's obviously got a hose. He can play all around the field too. I mean, you can plug this guy in left field. He can play third. He can play short. He can play second. But he can do whatever, dude. Orlando Arcia is a really, really good baseball player in general. And this is a guy that, when you're talking about a staple for your team moving forward, Orlando Arcia is just not that guy, and Vaughn Grissom certainly is. So,
yeah, and I'm kind of in like the notion, to me, that the floor of Von Grissom, the bottom level play we can see is pretty much equal to a guy like Andrelton Simmons, or a guy like Jose Iglesias, or even a guy like Elvis Andrus, who obviously is signed with the Chicago White Sox since all those rumors swirled, and maybe even Orlando Arcia. Like I mean, we know Orlando has decent pop, more like a 230, 240 hitter. I think that if Von Grissom's playing at the lowest level he could play at, it's going to be somewhere around that caliber. So,
yeah, and at 22 years old, we'll take that all day.
Yeah, because you're developing a guy. You're getting him ready. He's the shortstop of the future right now. Like he's the guy you're looking at right now to be the shortstop for the next 7 to 8 years. Honestly, he comes out and has a crazy first half. Go ahead and expect the contract extension talks, because it just seems like that's an automatic with the Braves. A guy comes out and shows out the major league level, he's going to get extended. He's going to get a nice little payday. They're going to reward him, especially at the position player level. We have seen some pitchers kind of slip by. Obviously, Max Fried's coming in clutch on a free agency thing. Kyle Wright still has not been extended, which is, it is what it is. We did get Strider locked up. But yeah, man, I'm pumped about Vaughn. Let's go a little bit negative real quick. And I hate to go negative on this podcast because it is Braves talk. Baseball season's right around the corner. You hear the cleats you hear the spikes on the concrete, which is beautiful. And I'm gonna talk about some starting pitching. And we're talking about the fifth starting spot right here. And we've seen two of the guys that are like legit, or I guess you could say three of the guys that they listed off as legit competitors, that being Colby Allard, Bryce Elder, and Ian Anderson. Mike Soroka did suffer a hamstring issue, so he's I don't think it was like a strain or anything. I just think it was just hamstring tightness. So you're kind of taking a little slow with him, which I respect. I think that's the right move. But let me just say I was not impressed with any of the three guys we saw. Allard was probably the most impressive, which is kind of weird to say. He started the opener for the Braves in spring. He did give up
what I was about to say.
Yeah, he gave up 3 runs, one earned. Austin Riley had a pretty bad error in the first inning. Ground ball hit right to him. He kind of got crossed up by it. That led to a couple runs, but he only had one earned run. I think he pitched like 2 or 3 innings pitched. Two, I want to say. He didn't look great. You watch Kobe Allard. He's a guy that pumps 89, leaves a couple pitches down the middle, gets hammered. That's kind of like I went back and watched some of his tape with the Rangers. That was kind of his problem. Doesn't really have the velocity to miss, and he does happen to miss sometimes, and that's what kind of kills him.
Yep.
Is there anything you want to say about Colby?
No, I like Colby Allard. This is a guy that I don't want to dive too much into the analysis because I know we've already hit on him a lot. But of the guys that you just mentioned, he was probably the best looking one. So it's kind of odd to be having this conversation. And I know we haven't seen much, guys. We're being super judgmental of
Oh
a
yeah,
very small sample size right now. But just you talk about what you can talk about, and all we can talk about is what 4 games.
yeah. And the good thing is these guys are gonna get more starts. Like we're gonna see a lot more Ian Anderson, a lot more Bryce Elder, a lot more Colby Allard, and that kind of leads me to Ian. I'm gonna go Ian right here. Ian pitched an inning and a third, 3 hits, 4 runs, 3 walks, 1 strikeout, 2 home runs. That was a disappointing one. That was probably the most disappointing one to me because the whole glamour so far in camp was how Ian Anderson has started to develop a slider and how it has looked very, very good. I didn't get to watch this game. I don't even know if it was televised anywhere, but I just looked at the box score and it was not very good. Especially for a guy that is healthy. 2 years ago was a guy that was a top. He could have been a number 2 in most rotations. Last year, obviously the down year. This year, we're going into a big, high hopes at the end. If Ian can get back to normal, this rotation is the best in baseball.
Yep.
And we just didn't see that in the first game. Obviously, like you said, small sample size. This is kind of hard to cover.
Yeah, Ian, man, that was disappointing for sure. Partly because we talked so much about Ian last year, and I think the biggest thing with Ian was with him getting sent down to AAA. He had a really good attitude about it,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of understood that he had to go develop his game a little bit. Get his stuff figured out, and be able to come back up and compete for that spot in the starting rotation. And yeah, it wasn't a good first look for him, dude. It's going to put a small sample size. We can say that a million times, but baseball is such a "what have you done for me lately" game
Mm-hmm.
that just that one appearance right there is going to put a little bit of dirt in the eye of so many Braves fans out there, and it's going to have us looking at the next guy up, and it's going to have people just sitting back waiting on Soroka. And unfortunately, the next guy we're probably going to talk about here is Mr. Bryce Elder,
Yeah.
who also got shelled, dude. So you talk about 2 of the 3 leading prospects for that 5th rotation spot in the starting pitching rotation that come out there and have pretty bad first appearances.
Yeah, Elder pitched inning and 2/3. Now it is notable to say he gave up 4 runs and 4 hits, but it was funny because all of those were to start the game.
Yeah.
Three straight singles. Then he left the hanger to Jose Trevino, and obviously grand slam happened from there. Did have a walk, no strikeouts. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing to Colby Allard. Bryce Elder's just a guy that has to locate, and if he's not locating, he's gonna get hammered. He's not really your typical strikeout guy. Pitch to contact guy. I did want to mention this though, and this is something this is outside of Braves and Clark Schmidt, a guy that's battling for a 5th starting spot with the Yankees, looked very, very, very good against the Braves. I noticed that when I was watching that game. Dude looked lights out. 2 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts, no hits, no walks. I want to say the Braves got 1 hit in this game. I think we had 1 hit, and it was from let's see, Sam
Will
Hilliard was
Bourne.
one. Yep, we had 1 hit. Sam Hilliard hit a single. So hey,
I'll tell you one thing about this about the Braves pitching is a lot of these guys we've talked about in the offseason and the past couple episodes of who we're excited to see have looked really, really good coming out the bullpen.
yes, very, very good indeed.
We talked about Victor Vodnik looked great. Dylan Lee looked amazing. Raciel Iglesias looked amazing. Kirby Yates got hit around a little bit. So that's a little bit of a concern there because of what we've seen from Kirby in the past. But my boy Jared Schuster came out there, dealt, man. A lot of these young guys coming out there and showing out. And then, obviously with Iglesias, we're not too worried about him. So we feel really, really good with him in that closing position. So for him to come out there and play good, you kind of expect that. But it's good to see.
I got to mention my boy DV too, Darius Vines, big Darius Vines
Yes,
guy right
sir.
here.
Yes, sir.
1 inning pitch, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. I think him and Schuster obviously are the 2 guys that are like the the big red button on the desk.
Yep.
Emergency, boom, press the button, bring them up to the major leagues. And I would not be surprised we see either of those guys at any point this season. Starting pitching in general is weird in major leagues. Guy could get a blister on his finger and be out for 2 weeks, and that's when you have to
Yep.
start making moves. And spring training is a weird thing in general. Colby Allard might not even make the team. Like he might not even be in the Braves organization by the end of this thing. So we have a couple interesting developments that will kind of take place throughout this March.
Yep.
Good thing is baseball starts this month, which is beautiful. Um, Official Major League Baseball. Also, MLB The Show comes out this month, so I know me and Kenny are very excited about that.
Yes, sir.
Um, is it time to get to our outfield breakdown now? Now that we got past a couple little spring training things.
I'm ready to roll, baby.
All right, so I heard you earlier. You said that we're going to go ahead and talk about the big guys first, and I feel like the easiest thing, the two cogs in the outfield, the two guys that we know are going to be there every single day. Let's start off with Ronnie.
Yeah.
Last week we played a little game where you asked me questions about guys, and I had to say a short statement about all of them. And I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to do it with Ronnie, best player in baseball.
Hey.
That's what we're going to see in 2023. Ronald Acuna is going to be the best player in the game. This guy, whenever you talk about pure talent on a baseball field, there's not many names you can mention above Ronald Acuna. This guy is, to me, when he's healthy and rolling and he gets hot, you can't stop Ronald Acuna. It is kind of bold to say that after Aaron Judge just hit 62 home runs last year and with over a 300 batting average. But man, the way this guy plays the outfield, the way this guy runs the bases, the way this guy makes contact with the ball, how fast his swing is, quick hands, man. This guy is a true five-tool player, and I think people are starting to forget about that just because of last year. Guy came back way earlier than expected, battled knee soreness and stuff all throughout the season. Was busting through it, didn't complain, kept on going out there playing ball, and he actually finished with a pretty solid season. The power wasn't there, ground ball rate was pretty high, and I think majority of that was just because he didn't really trust that knee to really elevate on the ball. This year is going to be different. That launch angle is going to be back, and he is going to start launching balls again. And whenever Ronald does that, good luck to the rest of the league because it is hard to stop him.
Yeah, dude. I mean, what more can you say about Ronald Acuna? This is generational talent. He's 25 years old. He's been amazing since he's been in the league. 5 years in the majors this far? He's posted just under a 900 OPS with a 277 batting average. It's ridiculous what we can see from Ronald Acuna, and I'm just super excited to see him back healthy, man. A full offseason to kind of get his stuff back. You see all the hype around him. I think he's projected to lead the MLB in stolen bases this year. They got him talking about 40, 45 stolen bases this year, which is crazy. And then everybody knows about the power, dude. Everybody knows what this dude can do in the batter's box. He can absolutely destroy a baseball and turn a baseball game upside down for any opposing team. He is just a game wrecker from every aspect. Defensively, he's elite. On the base pass, he's arguably the best in the league. He's one of the best pure hitters in the league. He's an amazing power hitter. He's clutch. What Ronald Acuna can do on a consistent basis on a baseball field is one of the most ridiculous things that we've ever seen. And I can't tell you how excited I am to see this dude come back healthy, ready to go day one, and just come out here and post a MVP caliber season.
Yeah, and it feels so good to kind of have the enemy on your team because I think everybody knows Ronald Acuna is the enemy. People hate Ronald outside the Braves organization. It seems like a lot of fan bases don't really enjoy the man, and as a Braves fan, we love it. Please make that man your enemy because I love when he goes up there and hits 440-foot taters on you and takes 30 seconds to round the bases. It's amazing. We see it night in, night out with the Hawks and Trey Young. Finally having that bad boy type thing on the team is awesome, and I feel like in Atlanta. Especially Atlanta baseball, we never really experienced that before Ronald. We didn't really ever have the enemy. We always had like the good old, go out there, play hard nosed ball, keep your mouth shut and continue on. It's a new game nowadays, and Ronald Acuna really, really represents the new era of baseball better than anybody else to me. You got guys like Jazz and Tatis, guys that go out there and have fun and play. But man, Ronnie's that guy, man.
In a game and in a league with a lot of young talent, we cannot forget that Ronald Acuna is the only player in baseball history to post at least 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases in his first 2 years in the MLB.
That is wild, and I don't know if anybody's gonna catch that number. I was gonna say Money Mike, but I'm pretty sure that would have to be like a 30-40 season from him to even to get there. I don't know what J Rod's numbers are. I would assume that he might have a chance. But that is very intriguing. That is an intriguing stat. I did not know 50-50 in the first 2 seasons. It's beautiful.
Crazy.
And let's go to Money Mike. Henry County boy,
Sure.
local product. We love him. He's gonna be your everyday center fielder against lefties, against righties. Um, Ton of pop. Obviously, probably the best defensive outfielder in baseball, in my opinion. Covers a ton of ground out there. Almost like me and Kenny are getting to experience Andrew Jones. Did you go back and you see the Andrew Jones highlights from back in the day, and everybody's like, this guy was just different. Now we're getting to see that modern day, and that guy is Michael Harris.
Yep.
Obviously from the left side in the batter's box. Makes good contact with the ball. I have a negative to say about Michael Harris, and it's not a negative at all. Sophomore slump is kind of in a lot of people's eyes right now because of his batted ball luck last year. It did seem like he did get a little bit lucky. Strikes out a good bit, which is kind of worrisome. I don't think he's gonna slump. I think he'll be right back to normal, smacking the ball around the field. But it is something to kind of pay attention to because he was a little bit above his head last year in the batter's box.
Yeah, I mean, he just had a ridiculous year. I mean, obviously, National League Rookie of the Year, 13th in MVP voting. This dude is he's a freak. He had a crazy year. He's so young, dude. He's what,
Mm-hmm.
20? He's 21, 22.
He's born in '01.
Nuts. That's ridiculous to think about.
Younger than both of us.
Yeah, I mean, the sophomore slump is definitely a thing. It's a real thing, and we can sit here and we can talk about what we expect to see from Michael Harris, but you give me a guy that you give me a guy that hit for 297 last year with an 853 OPS, 19 homers, 64 RBIs, and 114 games, and you tell me he's gonna regress a little bit. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it for sure. I don't think I think honestly, I think his legs and his defense, even if he does, tend to slump a little bit offensively, he's still going to be a 3-4 win player just from, defense and base running and stuff alone. If he's the type of guy that if he can figure out how to put the ball in play a little bit more, the batting average is going to be there. I mean, this guy can fly. Michael Harris is a legitimate like 30 stolen base type guy if he can just figure out a way to get on first base more consistently. Um, we kind of seen that with Ozzy too. Ozzy's kind of like your typical, boom or bust type guy, double home run. If not, probably going to strike out. And he's another guy that has potential, be a 30 stolen base guy. We just haven't really seen it because the lack of getting on first base. Bigger bases and stuff, we have kind of seen it in spring training, though teams are legitimately trying to steal bases more often. We've, seen a lot of stealing attempts happen over the past, week in spring training. And I'm curious to see how that translates to the regular season. Obviously, teams are going to play a lot differently in the regular season whenever games do matter. But I think guys like Ronald and guys like Mike, that's going to help their total value a lot more just with base running alone. Because we already know Ronald has the green light at any time. He's going to steal 30, 40 bases if healthy. We haven't seen it from Mike yet, but I honestly think he's going to be right there with him.
I agree. Especially you think about the bags a little bit bigger this year. Seems like every time we saw Ronald get thrown out last year was by a shoestring.
Mm-hmm.
And you extend those bags a little bit, make that path from first to second a little bit shorter, and curious to see what kind of damage this dude can put on the base pass. And Michael Harris right there with him.
I just developed a question in my mind, and I'm going to wait till after we get done with this breakdown right here. So remind me, after we get done with the breakdown, I have a question for you because I might forget it. I'm not going to forget the question, but I might forget to ask you the question. So try to keep that in your head too. We got 2 minds on it.
With just Money Mike or
no, it's with it's with the whole team.
Okay.
That's why I wanted to get the breakthrough done first. So
Okay.
all right, let's walk it over to left field. We'll go ahead and start with Eddie. I'm assuming Eddie's probably going to be your guy.
Yep.
But probably majority of the time, at least to start the season. If he can get hot, he'll keep that job. Obviously, he slumps. So we have a lot of guys we're going to talk about later that are in sights for that left field job as well. Eddie's a guy that if you look back just 2 years ago, this guy's always been a consistent major league hitter. Always the type of guy that's going to get you a 260, 270 batting average, 20 plus power, 20 plus home run power. Pretty decent on the base pass, honestly. Not the worst base run in the world. And he provides a lot of value. We mentioned it earlier. We were talking about this before the podcast. He doesn't walk much, strikes out a decent bit. But man, whenever Eddie is, spraying the ball all the way around the field, that's when Eddie's at his best. He likes to yank the inside pitch over the right field wall. And, when he takes anything outside, he doesn't hit it hard. He just gets it, in play and gets it, shallow left field. And that works in his game. And if he can maintain to do that this coming up season, Eddie's going to be just fine in left. He's a guy that
Yep.
actually hits lefties and righties, pretty evenly. If you look at his career splits, he doesn't really slack against lefties. I want to say that he has a couple seasons where he hit lefties better than righties. So he is a guy that could probably play there every day. I do think we'll lean towards a platoon with some guys we'll talk about a little bit later, at least early on in the season. And yeah, man, I'm excited to see Eddie back. I know last year was kind of a weird season for him. Had the eye issue where he was out for started out the season terrible, went out for like 2 months, and then came back and honestly didn't really heat up too much. Was hitting the ball a little bit better, but not great. And he if he can just get back to what he was, just 2 seasons ago, we'll be just fine out there in left field. Defense, I can't get off Eddie Rosario without talking about the defensive questions. He's not a great fielder. I think Braves fans know that. He's not going to make every play out there. But the best thing is when you have a guy like Michael Harris next to him in center field, Michael will help him cover a lot of ground in the gaps. And Eddie has the range. I think it's just the glove is more the issue.
Yeah, with Eddie Rosario, people forget this is a guy with.
Hey, Kenny, your mic got real quiet for some reason.
Is that any better?
No.
How about now?
Yes, you're right. Perfect.
I don't know what happened. Eddie Rosario is a guy that a lot of people kind of, his name gets swept under the rug a little bit. And this is a guy with a 162 game average in a career with a 270 batting average, 767 OPS, 86 RBIs and 25 homers and 162 game average over his career. Those numbers are nuts, dude. That's a really, really, really solid season from a guy that we're talking about being a rotational piece in left field with a couple guys we're going to mention here coming up. And I think the biggest question with Eddie is number one, the health, because last year he did battle the eye thing. And that really was a detriment to his fielding ability. Like you mentioned, he's not the best fielder in the world, but he's dang sure better than the guy we're going to talk about next. And with him coming, hopefully he got the eye thing all figured out coming into a season where he can come in healthy day one. He's going to be good enough to get the job done in left field. He's not going to be a liability out there. I would like to think he wouldn't be. But this is a guy that you take the potential of what he can do from the batter's box and what we've seen him do in a Braves uniform. You talk about the World Series run, man. This dude was, we wouldn't have been able to do it without Eddie Rosario and Ronald Acuna being out. Like the way he was able to step up for this Braves team was so huge. And you're right, man. If he could just get back to a fraction of what he was, especially you talk about the depth we've got in the outfield across the board and the flexibility we have to kind of plug and play guys at different spots. We talk about Orlando Arcia. Dude can play left field. We're going to talk about Marcell Ozuna next, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
You talk about a platoon ability with this guy. He does hit pretty well from both sides of the plate, or from both sides of the mound, I should say, righties and lefties. I like Eddie Rosario a lot, man. I expect him. I'm not saying I expect him to come back in and have a 40 or a freaking what he hit. Dang. Oh, my mind is slipping me.
Like a 30-plus home run season.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about, some of the crazy numbers he posted, with the Twins back early on in his career. I'm not saying we expect him to come back and put up those crazy numbers like he did back when he was getting MVP votes and, considered in the Rookie of the Year conversation coming out in 2015. But, for Eddie Rosario to come in here and be able to contribute to a team in the worst spot on the depth chart in left field, we talk about so many things with the starting pitching rotation and how we're out here nitpicking, talking about who we're going to put in the 5th starting spot when the 4 guys that we have are absolutely elite ahead of that. It's no different here in left field. You talk about all the position players from catcher to right field to every, across the infield, across the outfield. For the left field to be the weakest spot, and Eddie Rosario is who we're talking about being the day one starter in left field. That's a pretty good weak spot.
Yeah, that is a damn good weak spot. I agree with you 100% on that. Was really, really well stated. And you kept on foreshadowing a little bit right there. I like it. I like it because now we're about to take it to the DH spot. And this is where we talk about the man that people either love or hate. I think most people hate. I think me and Kenny are a little bit more on the love side. We'll give our boy Marcel a little bit of love. And like I said, Marcel Ozuna. DH, I'm assuming opening day, he'll probably be your DH to start the season. Marcel, man. Marcel is a guy that you talk about almost in the same aspect as Eddie Rosario. Besides, in Marcel's career, he is a more dynamic hitter than Eddie Rosario.
Yep.
Marcell Ozuna is legitimate, like 30 plus power type guy. Probably more of like a 260, 250 type batting average type guy. He's not a defender. We know that about Marcell by now. He's, getting into his mid 30s now. He's was never an elite defender, even though he did win a Gold Glove one year, which is very, very funny. Never been a super elite defender, and now especially not. I hope this guy never touches the grass in the outfield. Just let this man be the DH for a little bit. Get that bat hot. I am on the side, man, and it's kind of hard to say this now because it's been almost 3 seasons now since we've seen it. 2 full seasons since we've seen it. I think Marcel is going to come around, and he is a guy that you look at the batted ball numbers. He hits the ball hard every year in, year out. He hits the ball hard. Hits into bad luck. I think he's going to turn it around. Outside of that one COVID year where he was second place in MVP votes, behind Freddie, and he almost won a triple crown. This dude has always had bad luck. That's the only thing about Marcel that is intriguing. Even with St. Louis and Miami, he was also the same type guy where he was, hitting crazy hard exit velocities and still not getting the best, most productive numbers. But if we can just get a Marcell Ozuna that hits 27 to 30 home runs, bats 240, we'll be just fine at the DH spot because he is your typical DH. Like you look at Marcell Ozuna's, batting ball profile, his inability to play the field. He seems like the perfect guy to throw out there at DH, and I think that's the move the Braves are going to make at least, for the first month or so of the season.
Yeah, I like the comparison you made there with Eddie Rosario because this is another guy when you look at his 162 game average through his career. Posted a 782 career OPS with a 268 batting average, averages 27 homers and 94 RBIs. Those are also crazy, crazy numbers from a guy in Marcell Ozuna that we've talked bad about for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
Going through kind of the struggles that he's gone through on and off the field. Obviously, the big glaring issue with him is the fielding. So you plug him in there at that DH spot. I think, man, I sound like a broken record because I keep talking about how there's weak spots on the team that aren't really weak, and how we fill a weak spot with a guy whose name is Eddie Rosario and Marcell Ozuna. Not to mention the other depth guys that we're going to talk about here coming up. And you just feel really good about it, man. And with Marcell Ozuna, the comparison between him and Eddie Rosario, I think, is such a good comparison because you're going to get similar production from these two guys, but the big difference in the two is Marcell Ozuna is a lot more dynamic from a power aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the crazy thing with Marcell Ozuna is that we expect him to come out here and hit 25 plus home runs, but we wouldn't be surprised if he hit 30. We wouldn't be surprised if he hit 35. Like if he comes out here and plays consistently for the rest of the year, this is a guy that could come out here and post, top 5, top 10 home run numbers, and that's crazy to think about with Marcell Ozuna because all we've heard are negative things about him for 2 solid years. And I side with you here, Jake, because I think Marcell Ozuna will regress to the mean a little bit and get back to how he has been throughout his career. I mean, you even talk about how we played last year, man. It really wasn't terrible, all things considered. And the production that he was able to provide last year, even with the terrible fielding and the weird situations that we were in, injury-wise and everything, you give something similar to that in the DH spot with a better team all around from every other position, and I feel really good about him there.
Yeah, I mean, last year you look at 23 home runs and 507 plate appearances. You get that bumped up. He's an everyday DH. He's going to be looking at around 600. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's going to hit 25 plus bombs. And like you said, that's a bad season. That was a bad season last year for Marcell. If Marcell gets back to, prior to 2019, any season prior to 2019, like I said, he's a 240 type guy, 250 type guy, going to like the median. He did have a couple seasons where he was hitting a little bit higher, but I'm not going to expect batting average to really take a super big jump. It's just the power numbers. That's the only thing you really need to worry about with Marcell Ozuna, guys. Don't take it too deep of a dive with batting average. If he's a guy that goes out there and has a couple, 1 for 4 nights a week with home runs, you're fine with it. We'll take it full on because he's not a guy that's going to bat in the middle of your lineup. You listed off the 162 game average numbers, and that is a middle of the lineup bat. I mean, a guy that hits around 270 with damn near 30 home runs a season, 100 RBIs, that is a typical, third, fourth hitter in most Major League lineups. We're talking about a guy that's probably going to be batting at the bottom end of the lineup. So if he can just give you any type of production down there, it's gonna be curious. And it is funny we talk about the DH spot a little bit. I'm gonna mention the catchers. Travis Darno and Sean Murphy. But honestly, if you look at their numbers, I don't know if they're going to provide much better offensive value. That's the weird thing about catching in general is that like you look at catchers and they might be great offensive players as a catcher, but as
Right.
a DH, I mean you're just looking at an average old player. That's kind of the weird
Exactly.
thing. Like I don't know if you throw Travis Darno out there and give him 500 at bats at DH if he's going to give you much more offensive value, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and you talk about the average thing too. I know batting average is a super wash stat, and
Oh yeah.
it's over. People talk about it all the time. It's just it's not the meta anymore. It's not what we use to compare a good player. There's so many other stats and so many other avenues you can go to judge a guy's production for your team. But even if you just talk about the average dude, I mean Marcell Ozuna, this is a guy that's been in the league for 9 years now, playing in the bigs. He's only posted a sub 240 batting average twice in his career. Once was 2021, where he played 48 games, and once was last year, where he played 124, hit 226, and hit 23 bombs.
Mm-hmm.
So in a 9-year stint, we've seen this guy go sub 240 twice. One a super limited year, and one a year where he still gave us 56 RBIs and 23 bombs. Like, you take that every single day of the week.
I'm going to say this offensively, and this is going to be kind of bold to say. Offensively, the floor for Marcell Ozuna is Adam Duvall. In my opinion, I honestly think that the floor for Marcell Ozuna this year, if he gets the plate appearances, is going to be a 210, 220 type hitter with, 25 plus home run power. And the difference is that people glamour for Adam Duvall, which rightfully so. He's a great personality. Obviously he's battled some health conditions, still playing through. I want to say he has diabetes, which is very inspiring thing. And then you look at the other side of the field, Marcell Ozuna has a lot of controversial character flaws. Now, I will say that the whole domestic violence thing was kind of up in the air. I don't think he really gotten a ton of trouble from that realistically, and I do think the DUI charges were dropped after he did pass his field sobriety test, and they still arrested him for a DUI. And I think they came out and said that was not right. Which is, people are still going to see the whole headline and say that, oh, he got arrested for a DUI. They didn't really follow up from that, though. So, I'm rooting for the guy. And every Braves fan out there should be. I know there's going to be a select, group of Braves fans that will not be. But this guy's on your team right now. You look at him in the dugout, you look at him in the clubhouse. There's no indication at all that he is a bad guy for the team. If he was a bad guy for the team, the Braves are one of the best ran organizations in the sport. I don't think he would still be on this baseball team. So he has to be providing something. And obviously, it wasn't the play on the field last year. It has to be something else. And I'm assuming that is, locker room type things. And, maybe he's just confident that he's going to get back normal. The team is confident he's going to get back. That is what my hope is.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this dude's a really, really good baseball player. And you put a really, really good baseball player on the team that I root for every single day, I'm going to support him.
Yes, 100%. No
So
doubt.
that's really all there is to it for me.
All right, let's go to the next most intriguing guy. And I think that most Braves fans would agree it's probably Jordan Luplow. I think that
Yep.
he's probably your most likely guy to be on that opening day roster. We have a couple guys to go through in the outfield, but this is the guy that is almost 100% sure going to be on the opening day roster.
Yep.
Luplow's intriguing. Luplow is kind of the guy that everybody circles to be that outfield platoon with Eddie Rosario, a guy that is going to be your primary left fielder against lefties. And for the most part, this guy does have some really, really, really good pop. Very intriguing pop. I mean, he's a guy that has not really had much experience. And I'm not saying that from like a perspective of like seasons played. He has been in the big league since 2017. He has a 6-year career, but he's never had more than 261 plate appearances in a season, which is kind of wild. But he has had 2 seasons where he's had 3 of his 6 seasons where he's had 10 or more home runs. And like I just mentioned, he's never had a season over 261 plate appearances. That is pretty intriguing in itself. Obviously, excuse me, who almost just died. Obviously, this guy has legitimate power. Can mash, and the Braves love to bring that type of guy in. We are an organization that tries to bring these guys in that are more of like last year the guy hit 176. Bring him in, and he will become a hometown hero. We saw it last year with Robbie Grossman. This just seems like the 2023 version of Robbie Grossman right here.
I'm super high on Luplow. I was really, really excited about this move when we brought this guy in. MLB The Show legend. You're a
Battle
BR
Royale.
king.
Oh yeah.
Love you, Jordan. Um, this is another guy, man. I keep talking about the 162 game averages. You talk about a guy in Jordan Luplow. The average is not there. We talk about how the average stat is just a super wash stat. We don't really talk about it much anymore. But 162 game average for this guy in 6 years in the bigs, 745 OPS, 23 bombs with a 213 batting average. That's definitely the glaring spot here. One thing about Jordan Luplow that I'm gonna say, very, very unlucky hitter. Um, this is a guy that last year in 2022 posted a 185 batting average on balls in play.
Yeah.
This is a dude that can put a baseball in the air.
Yes, he
And
will elevate.
when he elevates, it is very, very good, and you get some really, really good quality offensive production from this guy. And on a Braves team where we kind of live by the long ball, we've kind of seen how this team has done that over the years. And you bring in a righty bat and Jordan Luplow to come out there and kind of, like you mentioned, platoon with Eddie, and kind of give some more versatile options with Marcel being the everyday DH, which is what we're expecting. I love Luplow, dude. One thing that I mentioned to Jake before we got on the air, and I don't have the stat right here in front of me memorized, so I'm just going to kind of paraphrase it here. But Jordan Luplow has played 6 years in the bigs. He has only played over 60 games 3 times. In the 3 seasons that he played more than 60 games, he posted a 923 OPS, a 780 OPS, and a 634 OPS. So this is a 770, 70, 80, or 770, 780 OPS guy when he's gotten significant playing time. I fully expect to see him play more than 60 games for this Braves team this year. I would love to see those numbers stay about right there for Jordan Luplow.
No, I agree. And something else I'm kind of looking at whenever I'm looking at Luplow, this guy walks a good bit. This guy gets on base a good bit of time. You look back at 2021 with Cleveland. I mean, he had a 173 batting average, but a 331 on base percentage. The dude walked 21 times in 121 plate appearances. Like he will walk. Last
Yeah.
year, a 176 batting average with a 274 on base percentage. We're talking about a guy that consistently has 100 points improved on his on base percentage for his batting average. So a guy that can get on base at a decent clip. Obviously, I think honestly, we're talking about a guy that if you play him every day, he's probably going to get on base as much as Ozzy will. Like, and it's kind of wild to say because Ozzy's a guy that you look at to be like a the featured player on this Braves team, but he'll probably post a 330, 320 something on base percentage, which is pretty similar to what Ozzy puts up year in year out. Obviously,
Yep.
Ozzy's going to give you more of like a 260, 270 batting average. He just doesn't walk a ton. That's more of his issue. But if you get on base at a clip, people like me and you, we've kind of realized on base percentage is kind of outdueled the batting average number nowadays. I think people kind of realized that during the Bryce Harper epidemic in Washington when he was hitting 220, but he was still hyped up for being one of the best players in baseball because he was putting up like a 400 on base percentage. Same thing with Joey Gallo. He kind of went through that whole thing with Texas. Yeah, a guy that walks a lot, has a lot of power. I don't think you can really go wrong with it. It's kind of like one of those Joey Gallo light type deals where you go get a guy that can, pop one out the park,
Yep.
almost any time. But you also get on base, for your sluggers up top, which is nice.
General baseball knowledge question here for you, Jake. We talk a lot about the shift and how it affects lefties. How does the shift affect right-handed hitters that have a tendency to pull the ball a lot?
It will affect them the same way. You'll see teams kind of shift a little bit on righties, nowhere near as drastically on power hitting lefties, just because for the most part, the majority of the big time power hitters are lefty bats. I mean, you look around Major League Baseball. I mean, you look at Yordan Alvarez and Freddie Freeman and Bryce Harper and Juan Soto. All these guys, they like to yank the ball.
Yeah.
And I feel like you look at a righty's approach, you'll see a lot more of a spray. You look at guys like Trout and Mookie, and obviously Austin Riley. These guys will hit the ball over the park. But like I said, there is always a shift the other way. The only problem is when you're shifting against a lefty, you kind of had that rover whenever the shift was still alive. And our rover was Austin Riley. He played that shallow right field. If they pulled a ball to him and it got to him. It's a short throw to first base. If you were to shift a guy in shallow left field, that's a really, really long throw to first base. You're probably not going to get that out anyways. Like
Right.
unless the runner is Pablo Sandoval, like there's not a
Yeah.
great chance of getting that out. So I just don't think we really see the shift as drastically to the left side or to the right side of the infield just because of the distance of the throw to first.
Well, and the reason I ask that is because when I'm looking at Jordan Liplow's advanced numbers, this is a guy that tends to pull the baseball about 10% higher than the league average,
Okay.
with a batting average of balls in play 110 points lower than the league average of 295, with a 185. So I'm curious to see if any of these shift rule changes affect his on base percentage and how he can get the ball. Like we talked, this dude can do a lot of damage when he elevates the baseball. Be curious to see if that changes at all. This dude pulls dang near 40% of every ball he touches, which is kind of crazy to think about with the league average of 28.9.
Mhm.
So just something to think about there. Some food for thought.
No, it is an intriguing thought too because sometimes against righties you'll see that shortstop kind of move a little bit closer to that third base spot just so that the ball can't really get in the hole on him because whenever you're playing at a normal shortstop position, the ball gets in the hole. It's a hard throw to make. Um, and back then you could always just bring your second baseman just right over the second base bag and just kind of have a man
Yeah,
in the middle. The only problem this year is that if you do that, you're now leaving a huge hole at the middle. You're leaving like a 60-foot hole across the middle, and I don't know if there's going to be any team out there bold enough to do that.
yeah, it's gonna be tough.
I will say the shift being banned is definitely a big deal. But the second baseman can still play basically right at the second base bag, or vice versa. Shortstop can still play like right at the second base bag. They just have to be on the side of it. So there still will be shifting, per se. It's just not going to be nearly as drastic. Obviously, guys like Matt Olson, like you can't put your second baseman right behind the first baseman just to cover that hole
No,
because then you have like I said, 60-foot hole between the second baseman and the shortstop, and if anything's hit up the middle, it's going to be up the middle for a base hit. So I do think the shift is going to benefit any player, lefty or righty, that tends to pull the ball a good bit.
that's definitely Mr. Luplow here.
Yeah, I see that right now. Damn near 40% pull percentage.
Crazy.
Um, Next guy. All right, so this is where it kind of gets a little bit cloudy. It is a trio of guys, I would say. I think there's three guys that kind of fit this mold for this, I guess you would say fifth outfielder spot, which I do think the Braves will keep on the roster. Orlando's going to be probably on the bench, and he's going to be a guy that can cover any infield spot, and also a little bit of outfield, like you mentioned earlier. So I don't really see a need of keeping another infielder. And I'm going to go with my guy right here, and that's going to be Sam Hilliard, formerly from the Colorado Rockies. And the main reason I'm going to go with Sam Hilliard, because whenever we made this trade, it was kind of like a circle. It was kind of like, okay, we got this guy, and look at his career stats. Nobody cares about this dude. Like, he's never put up numbers in his life. And then you hear all this intriguing stuff about him. 6'5", 240, hits the ball hard, can run, can play a good outfield, has all the tools in the world, just has not been able to put it together at the major league level. Look at the minor league stats. This guy rakes in the minor leagues. He puts up insane numbers in the minor leagues every time he goes down. He seems like a perfect project piece. We talked about Marcel before the podcast. We're talking about, well, if Marcel doesn't work out, it seems like this outfield room is going to get a little bit, more like scurried around. This is one of the guys along with Luplow that could legitimately get like legit playing time midway through the season if things were to go wrong, with Marcel or Eddie. And the primary reason behind that is I'm assuming that if Marcel does not work out, he's going to be cut. He's going to be DFA'd. You're going to move Eddie Rosario to the primary DH spot because we talked about his outfield problems earlier, and that's going to leave you with Jordan Luplow and Sam Hilliard as your platoon in left field. That's just a little idea. Obviously, that's way foreshadowing of the season. None of us know what's going to happen. But yeah, man, Hilliard hits the ball hard. Look at his hit. You look at his hard hit percentage. It's insane. I mean, we talk about Luplow's numbers. Hilliard has like 10 points on Luplow's hard hit percentage, which is
Yeah.
wild to think about. And he's a guy that Luplow is a little bit opposite because you can kind of pull up stats and like defend Luplow. Hilliard has no major league stats to defend this guy. Like you cannot pull up a single number on this dude to be like, okay, he's going to be a great major league hitter. He's going to be even like an adamant major league hitter. There's nothing to prove it. This is going to be a guy that Bryce had to bring into the organization and work on because if you can work on him, has all the tools in the world to be a legitimate outfielder.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing, and I'm with you with Sam Hilliard. This is definitely the guy that I have here. My favorite thing with Sam Hilliard is that he's got a pretty impressive spray chart, dude. This dude can hit the ball around the field. That's a little bit different than what we talked about with Jordan Luplow, especially from a lefty hitter. You just mentioned it when we talked about righties and lefties and how the shift can affect different guys, and how a lefty power hitter has a tendency to pull the ball a lot more, and a defense will kind of cheat to that. Um, this is a guy whose pull percentage is right on par with the league average. It's 55.5% of his batted balls to center field, and can go oppo as well. So I like this guy from that aspect. This is a guy that can give you a little bit more diversity and hit the ball around the park. Obviously, a home run friendly park in Truist will benefit this guy's game a little bit. You can't really compare it to where he's coming from in Colorado, because obviously he's not really gaining anything there, with Colorado being the most home run friendly park in the league. But this is another guy with a really impressive 162 game average. Man, we're talking about a 717 OPS, a 212 batting average, which is right there with Luplow. 22 homers and 54 RBIs in 162 games. And a pretty small sample size from a guy in Sam Hilliard who we've only seen 4 years in the bigs. I'm excited about this guy, and you kind of got me more excited talking about some of the advanced numbers before we hopped on the air. So I'm with you, dog. I'm gonna ride this one out. I'm a big fan of this.
Let's go, man. I this is kind of like, it's kind of weird to say it's like the Braves mojo. Like we're not fans of other teams, so we can't really see the outlook of how they feel about their team. But as Braves fans, we kind of feel like if we bring guys in and they have the tools to make it, they're going to make it. Like it just feels like we bring in like these guys on these 1 year deals, like these lottery ticket guys. It just seems like more often than not they cash out. Like we are getting a payday from 'em.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've seen it. I mean, we list off just names after names with, Eddie Rosario was a lottery ticket. Jorge Soler was a lottery ticket. Jock Peterson was a lottery ticket. Robbie Grossman was a lottery ticket. It seems like these outfielders that come in because everybody thinks the outfield is weak, and all of a sudden you bring these guys in, and they're just like adequate players, like solid major league guys. And I think that's what we're going to get similar this year. And we have two more guys to mention, which is insane because, left field was the question mark, and the Braves might not have went out and made that big splash, but we definitely got a plethora of guys to choose from. And this is where it gets hard because there are two guys, one of them definitely more experienced than the other, but the other one might have a little bit more intriguing upside to me. So I'm going to go with Eli White as my third one. Do you agree with that?
Yep, I'm with you.
Okay, and Eli White. There's two key reasons why I'm going with Eli White. This guy is not a great hitter. I don't think that the hit tool is really ever going to be there. Another guy, you look at his minor league numbers, he does hit well in the minor leagues, but just really has never produced great in the major leagues. This guy has a 185 career batting average. Eli White is very, very good for one specific reason, or two specific reasons, I should say. Amazing defender in the outfield, one of the better defensive outfielders in baseball, and absolutely elite speed on the base paths. This guy is a perfect, defensive replacement late in games, pinch runner late in games. I don't think he's going to make the opening day to roster just because of the two guys we mentioned before this. But I do think that if injuries happen, injuries occur, that he is a guy that could potentially make a push for that major league roster. He has played a little bit of games in the infield. I think he's played 2 games at second base in his career, so I don't really count him as an infielder too much. But man, last year he opened a lot of people's eyes with that defense, with the outfield defense he played.
Yeah, you talk about the base running with this guy. Really impressive numbers from this dude here. 12 stolen bases last year with a 92% stolen base percentage. That is by far above the MLB average. Also, the extra bases taken percentage from this guy is 67%, above the league average of 41. This dude can burn, dog.
Mm-hmm.
He can put the bat on the ball and he can get after it. And on a Braves team where we love seeing Ron Washington wave that windmill arm at third base when guys are rounding first, headed to second, getting ready to round second, head to third, this is a guy that can be a little bit of a demon for this Braves team. Especially you talk about some of the other bats that we have, guys that can hit for average, guys that can put the ball in play and bring some runs across. I love having a guy like Eli White on the roster, on top of the elite defense that you just mentioned.
Yeah, Eli White almost seems like your stash type guy. Like,
Yeah.
not make opening day roster, stash him down in AAA, and all of a sudden, in, August, September, he gets called up. Something happens, or, September call-ups happen. And he kind of takes on the Billy Hamilton type role we saw a couple years ago, where this guy is just like electric. Like he just comes
Yeah.
on the field, and you're like, oh my god, let's go. Eli White's pinch running in the bottom of the ninth in a 1-run game. Like I'm pumped now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think his odds of making the opening day roster are great. But I do think that he could make an impact at the major league level this year for sure.
Agreed.
All right, so the last guy, and I almost feel ashamed for making this guy the last guy because he has been a damn good Major League Baseball player for a long time now, and that's Mr. Kevin Pillar. I think baseball fans around everywhere know this name. He's probably the most notable name we've mentioned out of all four of these fourth outfield type guys, and the main reason that he's not so much super notable anymore is because the bat just hasn't played great the past 2 seasons. I mean, you look back at 2020, I will say he hit 288 with 6 home runs and 223 at bats, which is nice. And you can also go all the way back to 2019, which I would have never guessed this. Kevin Pillar had 20 plus home runs in the season, which is very impressive because I would have never guessed that. Also 88 RBIs, middle of the lineup, Kevin Pillar. I like it. But the biggest thing with Kevin Pillar, especially early on, that you kind of pick up on whenever you look at him is his defense. I think a lot of people remember those Toronto Blue Jays days when he was manning center field and you get on ESPN and just see Kevin Pillar crazy catch highlights all the time.
Yeah.
He's not the same player anymore. He's old. Like he's not old, but he is older now. He's 33, 34. He's not really your defensive type guy anymore. He has not posted a defensive WAR above 1 since 2017, so I don't think he's really going to be your prototypical like star-studded defensive outfielder. And I think that's really what kills him here is that he doesn't really do anything better than any of the guys that we listed above him. Like I said, if you're going to go defense, you're going to go Eli White. If you're going to go offense, you're going to go Sam Hilliard, in my opinion. But he is very intriguing just because of the veteran experience. I'm sure he's a great guy in the clubhouse. He's been around, a lot of winning teams with the Dodgers last year, with the Mets the year before that, spent some time with Boston the year before that. So he's been around a couple clubhouses. He definitely could be a guy that, could bring some experience. Another guy that I kind of hope if we do option down to AAA, he's not like one of those guys that declare for free agency, that he actually kind of sticks it out down there. I would assume that he would declare for free agency and try to get a job somewhere else. But hey, we can always have wishful thinking.
This is another guy with a really impressive spray chart. Dude hits the ball all around the field. A little bit of a different story with Kevin Pillar is this guy does not strike out.
Yeah, not a big strikeout guy for sure.
Strikeout numbers are far below the league average.
Yeah, career is 16.6, which is very, very impressive. Last year we saw that uptick a little bit, but I will say last year he only had 13 plate appearances, so it's small sample size. Things like that happen. Right now in spring training, I want to say Roman Quinn has 6 at bats and 3 home runs, and he's hit like 9 in his whole major league career, over like 700 at bats. So small sample sizes can do that stuff to you. It's funny to look at this stuff though, because we're talking about a guy that has like honestly a pretty decent hard hit percentage, like something I would honestly think would be a lot lower. I mean, we're talking about a guy that can, throughout his career consistently put up around like 35% hard hit percentage, which is, it's below league average. Don't get me wrong, but I never looked at Kevin Pillar as a hitter. I always looked at him as a defender. So hey, he's intriguing. During the offseason when that happened, I was a little bit more intrigued than I am now. Just because I'm kind of looking around like, okay, maybe he's not a top 4 candidate in left field. And obviously,
that's a good thing.
Hey, that is a great thing, Braves fans. We love to see that.
Very, very good.
All right, so now we got done with the position breakdown. That was the whole position breakdown. It took 3 episodes, but we are done with it. We are an hour into the podcast, so we're getting pretty prime time, Kenny. And I have a question for you. I did not forget my question, so you don't have to remind me. Right now on Braves Talk, we might ask this question again before the season starts, but as of March 1st, 10:43 p.m. Eastern Time, what is your Braves opening day lineup? We don't know the opposing starters, so that kind of makes things a little bit interesting. But hey, just, we don't play platoons on opening day. You're going to get your best guys out there for sure. So go ahead and give me your Braves opening day lineup.
Ooh. Let me pull up everybody. I want to make this good, baby. I want to make this a dream scenario.
Make this primed up. Would you like me to give mine first? I have mine in my head.
You can. I've got mine too, but you go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So we'll see our differences right here. Actually, let's go lineup order. I'll give my first. You can give your first, second. You know what I mean? And batting first, there's no other person to put here. Number
Nope.
13, Ronald Acuna Jr. playing right field.
Agreed.
Batting second, I have this is where I kind of get a little bit questioning it. I was kind of up in the air about Matt Olson or Michael Harris. I'm gonna go with Michael Harris.
Yep, I'm with you.
All right, batting third, I'm going with Austin Riley playing third base.
No doubt.
Fourth, that is where I'm going to put Matt Olson at playing first base. I was kind of in the middle with Matt Olson and Michael Harris, thinking maybe we could switch them too. I do like to have the lefty, righty splits. I like to always kind of alternate those. So you're going to see a pretty consistent trend of that between me. And that kind of takes me to batting fifth, and that's where I have Sean Murphy catching.
Hey, I have Ozzy Albies here.
Okay, Ozzy. I will say if we're facing a lefty, I think it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
Batting sixth, this is where I have Ozzy. I have Ozzy batting sixth, playing second.
And this is where I have Mr. Murphy.
Okay. Batting seventh. This is where I have our DH Marcelo Zuna batting.
Me as well, sir.
Then I'm going to go to eighth in left field. I have Eddie Rosario.
This was a flip flop for me. But ultimately I did go with Eddie at 8.
Definitely a flip flop. I could see it going either way. The only reason I went Eddie is just so you keep the righty lefty, righty lefty, righty lefty. If you notice with my lineup, I went with Ronnie, righty, Harris, lefty, Riley, righty, wide, Olson, lefty,
Bye.
Murphy, righty, Ozzy
Bye.
could potentially be a lefty right there. See, we could use that as the lefty. Ozuna, righty, Rosario, lefty, and then at the ninth position, playing shortstop, Vaughn Grissom.
So the only thing we switched were Ozzy and Sean Murphy.
Yep. Not terrible. I could definitely see Ozzy batting fifth. I will say I was intrigued the other day because the Braves had a pretty loaded lineup out the other day, and Murphy batted cleanup. So that was pretty intriguing to see. That did kind of make me curious. Like, okay, maybe they are going to be batting this guy pretty high up in the lineup. I think the top four set. There's not going to be anybody that gets in that top four outside of those guys. Maybe against lefties, and I don't even if we face the lefty on opening day, I don't think the lineup's going to change too much from that. Like I said, you kind of play your best guys on opening day. Maybe down the road when we face lefties, you drop Harris down the lineup and move Ozzy to second. I could definitely see that being a play because Ozzy does mash lefties, and Harris, that's kind of like his struggle point in his career. But I definitely think opening day we're pretty. I think we're going to be pretty spot on. I think feeling that pretty good.
I agree. The only possible way I see the top four switching up is kind of similar to last year. Of you got certain guys going on tears, certain guys cooling off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you move Matt Olson up to that 2 spot. Michael Harris batting third, and Australia moving down the cleanup spot. I could see that potentially arise, but that still doesn't change who we've got in the top 4.
Didn't Matt Olson get moved down like as far as like sixth last year at one point?
There's a couple times, yeah.
And it's funny because he started like the first 2 weeks of the season like the best hitter in baseball, and then it just went down, and then it went right back up.
Didn't he? Am I tripping, or did he start the year batting third?
I think he did.
Didn't he bat third, and Austin Riley was batting cleanup?
Yeah, it was a. I think I want. Well, actually, no, it wasn't Acuna. Was it? It was Dansby, Ozzy, Olson, and Riley. I think.
I think so too.
Yeah, because Acuna had missed the first couple weeks. I'm assuming starting pitching is Max Fried.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. I think that's pretty much a lock now. There's a couple guys candidates, but baseball is kind of like one of those old traditional sports where you have your ace, you give them the respect of being the opening day starter.
Got to.
Oh, that was fun. That was a fun little exercise right there.
Baseball, baby.
I guess since we are an Atlanta podcast, I'll go ahead and mention that the Hawks hired Quinn Snyder to be the next head coach. Nate McMillan got fired. We had the interim coach name is slipping my mind right now. And then Quinn Snyder came in, lost his first game. Trae Young did hit a buzzer beater like 3 days ago, which was awesome. Beautiful to see. Bradley Beal went on a tear against us last night, so we lost that game. He dropped like 38. Trae Young did have 2 attempts to tie it on the last possession. He shot 3-point shot with like 5 seconds left. Clint fought for the board, passed it right back out to him, missed it again. It was a little painful, especially a game after he hit a game winner. I was like, oh, Trey's about to do it again. Trey don't miss. He's like Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. Pedro Pascal, baby. Undefeated.
Trying to think of any other notable sporting news before we get out of here. Combine should be starting up. We'll be having some combine talk coming up here soon. I think like the actual combine itself, like the workouts and stuff start Monday, or is it the weekend? I think the combine has
Uh,
started now, but it's
some stuff starts tomorrow.
okay. So yeah, we're kind of getting
Some
ramped up. I'll say I think it started yesterday actually, but it wasn't like anything that nobody like. It wasn't anything people care about.
I think position workouts start tomorrow and then move on through the weekend. I think we got quarterback Saturday.
I know. I like to. We like to hate on Anthony Richardson in this podcast. But just that he is running his 40-yard dash makes me intrigued. That he knows something that most people don't. Because I feel like that has the potential to hurt his draft stock a lot more than it has to help it.
It's Stet running.
I don't know. I know that Bryce Young's not participating at all. He's not throwing or anything. CJ Stroud is doing everything besides running, I'm pretty sure. I think he said that on
Yeah,
Pat McAfee's
he
show.
is
He said he's
not
not gonna
running
run.
a 40.
Yeah. They asked him, he was like, nope, I'm definitely not gonna run. I
Heck
heard that on
no.
Pat's show. Uh I haven't heard anything about Levis. I don't know what Levis is doing. I know AR is doing everything. And I don't know what Stet's doing. I'm assuming Stet's gonna run. He has no reason not to run.
Yeah, if Stet, that's going to help him tremendously because I think he's got some wheels that maybe a lot of people don't know about.
AR is just intriguing to me because I feel like, these guys run before the combine. They know what they're running. Like they know where they're sitting at. And I feel like if AR runs anything over like a 4.55, he's hurting himself. Maybe even anything over a 4.5, he's hurting himself. Like people know like his speed is his key point. So to see that he's running makes me intrigued that like, okay, maybe he knows something. Maybe he knows that he might go out there and run a 4.4 and might boost
Yeah,
his draft stock up. Like I'm gonna be really intrigued to watch. There's no way he goes out there and runs a 4.6.
no way.
Like he knows he's running faster than that.
No, Stet might run a 4.6.
Because we don't see running quarterbacks run at the combine.
Mm-mm.
Like it doesn't happen. Normally, running quarterbacks sit out that part. Like I'm just gonna throw. I'm gonna show you I can throw a football, and I'm going home. To
Dude,
see a running like,
the last one I remember was RG3, and he tied the record.
yeah, like, and that was RG3 and Marcus Mariota are like the two most notable, and then
Yeah,
obviously Desmond Ritter recently. But I think obviously that boosted his draft stock probably more because nobody really knew him as a runner, and he went out there and ran like what? What did he run like sub 4.5 or something like that?
dude, Dez.
Yeah, I know Des ran a lot faster than what people thought.
It's like the fastest 40 time quarterback since RG3, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What'd he run? 4.52.
4.52. But the main reason I'm excited about Anthony Richardson because it seems like every time we get the quarterbacks we're excited to see run, they never run like Lamar, or Kyler, or all the guys
Yeah,
that you get or Malik Willis this past year. All the guys you get really excited to see run, we never get the chance to see them run. And Anthony Richardson's kind of giving us a taste. Like, okay, we're gonna get to see this guy run. If he runs a 4.3, it's over.
oh yeah. What I'm really excited to see are the measurements.
I'm curious to see that too. I know Bryce Young said he's not participating in any activities, so will he still be there getting measured?
I think so. I think that's a
If
given.
he goes to his pro day and gets measured, it's going to be rigged. They're going to measure him at
Well,
6'1".
his trainer officially listed him at 5'10" and a half. So, I don't know if he's 5'10" and a half, but that seems a lot more realistic than 6 foot.
Yeah, there's some intriguing stuff out there about Bryce saying that, like, I think there's been one quarterback to ever be drafted that was below 6 foot, under 200 pounds. And I think it was like a 7th round pick way back when. I think that
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that, well, Drew Brees, his problem was he was listed at 6 foot even. So he wasn't ever in that category. And then the most notable guys, Kyler and Russ, are both heavier set guys that are easily pushing over 200.
Yeah.
I think Kyler's damn near 230, which is insane. Kyler's like 228.
What was Baker's height?
I think Baker might have been 5'10", but I think Baker's another I think Baker's
He was
pretty
like
heavy.
probably 215.
Actually,
Probably.
Baker's 6'1".
That's crazy.
Baker's 6'1", 215. I do not believe that whatsoever.
He's a thick boy.
Yeah, he looks. I think it's because he always wears that damn rib cage on his shoulder
Bro,
pads. He always got that thing on. Kyler's 5'10", 207.
Okay.
Which that's believable. He looks like he's pretty hefty.
Yeah, I'm curious, man. I'm curious to see about Stet. I'm curious to see about Bryce.
Yeah, Stet's gonna be an interesting one. I think if Stet can push over that, even I'm not even gonna say over 6 foot. If he can push over that 5'11", I think it's gonna help him a lot. Also, I
Yep.
mean, we've heard it in the past, man. Hand sizes can make or break guys in this process at quarterback position. Some of these guys go out there and have small hands, which they said it last year, like hand size is bad, and then everybody made fun of Kenny Pickett for having a small hand, and then he was still drafted in the first round. So I don't know how much it really matters.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow, like there's a ton of guys out there that have small hands, and it seems like every time the combine comes around, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, you better be careful with the hand size. This guy might fumble the ball a lot." Like they say that, and then the guy still gets drafted like super high. Like, and then you have Dan Campbell come out today and say that they don't even give a crap about they don't give a crap about
Yeah.
guys running around in their pajamas. They look at tape, and that's what they use to dictate their guys, which is probably more realistic. But I guarantee you, like there's some like if Stetson Bennett goes out there and runs a 4.4, it's gonna help.
Yeah. It's not gonna hurt, I promise.
If anything, it confirms his tape. Like, okay, this kid can run.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna run a 4.4. I think Stet's more of like a 4.5. I'm gonna say 4.57, 4.55, maybe 4.5, maybe.
Love to see it.
I think people don't understand though how fast 4.4 is.
Very
That's fast. Like that is like a 4.5 is fast.
Yeah.
If you're hauled at 4.5, that's quick.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And if a guy like Stetson Bennett can get there, it's gonna be beautiful. I hate not to see Bryce Young run too, because I think he's a guy that I would be curious to see what he does run. You know, obviously 2 years ago we looked back at Bryce and he was he wasn't as much of a runner than last year. We kind of saw him, dive into that play style a little bit more. CJ makes a ton of sense not to run though, because CJ Stroud could easily be a guy to run and run like a 4.79. Like I remember the time Dewey Haskins ran at the combine, he ran like a 5.01. And everybody was like, damn, this guy's that slow. We watched Dwayne Haskins at Ohio State. We thought he was a little bit quicker than that. He goes to the combine. He runs like Tom Brady, slower than Tom.
Yeah. Absolutely no reason for CJ Stroud to strap it up for the 40.
And then, like I said, hopefully Levis runs. Hopefully we get some of those like mid-tier quarterback guys that are getting some hype. I mean, CJ, I want to say Anthony Richardson opened up betting odds for first overall pick at like plus 20,000, and now he's at plus 800, which is crazy to think that he has went up that much. I don't know what brought that on. I'm assuming maybe it was him confirming he's going to do all the workouts at the combine, because that's like the last kind of event that can help him improve draft stock. I don't think it's going to happen, but hey, it is intriguing that the betting markets are bumping it that high.
I think hand size is something that everybody's real high on. Will Levis. I think dude's got like 11-inch hands.
Yeah, I think Levis and Richardson both are going to be guys that are going to light up the combine. There's no doubt in my mind. Their throwing drills are going to be absolutely insane. Their 40 times are going to be crazy. All of the measurements are going to be there. These guys are both 6'5", 6'4", 230, 240 type guys that can throw the ball 80 yards.
Yeah, with hoses.
Yeah. We have two guys that we know are going to actually, is Levis participating? Did we ever confirm that?
I think he is. I think a lot of guys are throwing.
Will Levis is going to throw at the combine. I don't think he's going to run. Which I don't blame him. I don't really think he should be running anyways. I don't think he has the open field speed. Like, I think he's more of like a Josh Allen type speed guy.
He can get it done.
Yeah, he can get it done. He can run through people. All right, well, we rambled on a little bit too. A little bit long there. I'm sorry about that, guys. We got into some combine deep diving. I almost kind of forgot we were on the podcast. Me and Kenny usually talk crap for a little bit after the podcast, so I kind of felt like we were in that stage. But I'll go ahead and get my closing remarks. Thank you guys for listening. If you're watching us on YouTube right here, I'm waving at you. Go check us out on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can find us there, same name, Peach State Tailgate. And on the podcast, you just heard the same thing. Guys, we do a YouTube. If you want to come check us out, we go live usually Wednesdays around 9 p.m. I think whenever NFL comes around, we're going to do a little bit of two episode week. I think we talked about that before, whenever the draft is coming around, so we can get both of our mock drafts in, which is going to be awesome. I'm so excited for that week.
Yes, sir.
I'm so pumped up. I got to start scouting. I'm about to watch 8 hours of tape.
Let's go, baby. I'm about to just load up the couch with popcorn and potato chips and beers and watch these quarterbacks throw at the combine.
Oh, facts. I'm going to pull up QB School's 37-minute long video on Southern Miss's quarterback. breakdown against Northern Miss.
Gonna be ready.
It's gonna be awesome. But yeah, thank y'all guys so much. Kenny, I'm gonna pass the baton to you unless you hit your closing remarks and we'll get up out of here.
Hey man, thank y'all so much for listening. I'm sure we'll probably do a combine breakdown next week
Oh yeah.
and talk about some things that we've seen. It's gonna be a big talking point. We'll hit on Brace spring training moving forward, but man, a lot of cool things coming up. And like you said, Jake, baseball starts this month, and I am hyped for it, baby. So appreciate y'all for listening. Thank y'all for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one.